Welcome to DTF training. DTF stands for direct to film, which means that it's a transfer that was printed on a clear film and we're going to press it on using a heat press. Direct to film is a little different than screen printing in a couple of ways. One is we're not yet ever interacting with a wet ink. Instead, it comes to us dry on this pre-printed sheet. Another thing is that it doesn't have any color limitations like screen printing does. As you know by now, screen printing is going to take multiple screens, one per color if you're doing a multiple color design. DTF is printed digitally on a desktop printer, or it's an industrial printer just like your desktop printer, and so it can simulate any number of colors with the exact same amount of work. So this is a great option for customers who want a lot of colors on their garment, or for customers who just want a couple of garments, because we can just order in whatever number of transfers we need and print it right away. In this case, we're going to be printing this lemon on a woman's V-neck shirt. So we can break this process down into just a few different steps. So first we're going to talk about time and temperature. This is not a plastisol ink. Instead, it's a water-based ink that's cured and a powder adhesive is put on the back. And the powder adhesive activates at about 315 degrees. So anywhere from 315 to 320 degrees is what we're going to use for our temperature on our machine. And our time, we're going to use 15 seconds to press it. Now this press has a electromagnetic locking mechanism and it has a timer-based release. So I can actually dial in my temperature and my time, and it will release at the time that's specified. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down my garment really flat so that the area where the design is approximately in the center of my platen. Now don't be fooled, this mat can move all over the place. So I don't just center in the center of my mat, I make sure that my mat is directly over the platen, and then my shirt is flat. I don't want any wrinkles in my garment. Now I'm going to pre-press my garment. What this does is it drives out any moisture and it flattens out the micro hairs in this garment, or the little fibers, so we get a nice smooth press. You'll notice that I've not pressed it down all the way. I just held it by hand and I didn't do it for the full 15 seconds. I did it for about 7 seconds. This is not an exact science. All we're doing is just pressing it so that it gets nice and flat and dries out some moisture. So now I'm ready to press my design. As with any print, location and size of the art and the aesthetic is key. So I need to check everything that I'm printing to make sure that it's exactly the same as the art that my customer thinks that I'm printing. So in this case, we reordered these transfers from another one. We took a look and it's all good. Now I looked at my placement and it was about an inch below the hem on this lady's V-neck shirt. I print a little bit higher up to the hem on a V-neck shirt because I don't want the design to go way down on her stomach just because it has a low cut hem. Now, one thing that can be very confusing about doing DTF is that oftentimes we're cutting out the shape out of a larger gang sheet, and so the transfer itself is a really, really strange shape. Now I can't let that fool me. I still need to put the transfer up vertical. And so I can look at my proof if I have to in order to find out how to put it up vertical. In this case, I have another form that I can look at. This one has a square line. So his little stem is just cocked off to one side just a little bit. So I simply place that down. Now I get my cover sheet. I'm going to cover the design with my cover sheet. I'm going to slide in my platen. I'm going to press down until it locks into place, and it will count off 15 seconds. It is now pressed. Fan blowing right here so it will quickly cool off the garment. As it is, I'm just doing one, and so I'm just going to fan it out a little bit like this to get some air exposure. All I need to do is cool it down until it's comfortable to touch, and then with a confident movement I can rip it off and the design all comes off. I'll be able to immediately tell if it did not adhere properly to the garment because I'll have a piece stuck on here. If it peels off clean here, chances are it's going to be good on the garment. Now come on close and you'll be able to notice something kind of strange about this garment. As I play with the light, you'll see that there's little shiny spots covering the garment. There's a very, very fine oil that's used on these transfers to help the image release a little bit better. Don't be concerned. It's not enough to hurt the garment, and you can use another piece of cloth to simply wipe it off and it will come right off. Now we need to repress this garment. We're going to do the exact same procedure as we did for the pre-press. We'll load it on. We'll make it nice and flat. I'm sorry, not the exact same, because in this case we're going to use our cover sheet. And then I'm just going to hand press it down, not locking it into place, and I'm going to hold it for about 7 seconds, which is about half of my normal time. Now I can release back up, peel it off, and I've got a beautiful printed shirt.